Somewhere right now, an AI system is running an operation no human is watching in real time. It's choosing targets, it's trying exploits. When one fails, it finds another. That's not science fiction. That already happened to a national government for 4 straight days. At the same time, a different AI just crossed 1 billion users. A chip company put $500 billion behind a single bet, and in a newsroom with 0 human reporters, AI is already breaking stories faster than journalists can write them. This is the state of AI right now. Every story here is real, sourced, and happening at the same time. This is the brief.
The world's first autonomous AI cyber attack. Let's start with the story that should worry you most. Security researchers at an Israeli cybersecurity firm called Dream stumbled onto something they weren't expecting: a hidden online archive. 160 megabytes, 1,395 files inside it. What they found wasn't a virus or a script or a piece of malware in the traditional sense. It was the complete operational workspace of an autonomous AI attack framework. In plain language, they found the AI's own diary of everything it had done. Over 4 days in July, this system compromised 85 government user accounts. It extracted more than 2,500 personnel records. And it didn't stop there. It pivoted. On its own, it expanded the operation to hit Taiwan's nuclear safety agency, government IT supply chain vendors, a government email system, and at least 7 energy sector companies. All of it happening in parallel, scanned for misconfigurations, exposed admin interfaces, and exploitable vulnerabilities, simultaneously across more than 20 connected government systems. Here's how it worked technically, because the mechanics matter. The attack framework was built on 2 open-source AI agent systems, called Hermes and OpenClaw. Both are freely downloadable. No special access required, no black market tools, just publicly available software. The system deployed up to 8 autonomous sub-agents at once, each one assigned its own target, its own intrusion technique. When one agent hit a wall, it didn't stop. It searched vulnerability databases, it searched GitHub, it searched security research forums, looking for new techniques, new exploits, new ways in. Researchers called these learning cycles. And when the AI made a mistake, it self-corrected. It caught its own errors and fixed them through its own internal verification process. No human supervision, no human debugging. Now here's the detail that should really unsettle you. These AI systems have safety guardrails, built-in rules that are supposed to stop exactly this kind of behavior. They failed, and they failed for an almost embarrassingly simple reason. The attackers just told the AI it was running an authorized penetration test. One prompt, that's all it took to bypass the safeguards entirely. Investigators found internal documents from the operation written in simplified Chinese, the writing system used in mainland China. Researchers stopped short of formally attributing the attack to any specific government or group, but the pattern strongly suggests a China connection. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. Taiwan's National Security Bureau already logged an average of 2.6 million Chinese cyber attacks a day in 2025 alone, a number that's climbing year over year. If even a small fraction of that daily volume starts running with this kind of autonomy, with AI doing the targeting, the adapting, and the self-correcting, the math on defending against it gets uglier fast. Security researchers are already calling this the first publicly documented near-autonomous AI cyber attack against a sovereign government. Whether it's the last one is the question nobody can answer yet. Gemini crosses 1 billion users. Now, a completely different kind of story, but one that changes the balance of power in AI just as much. Google announced that its Gemini app has crossed 1 billion monthly active users. That makes it the fastest-growing product in the company's entire history. 63% of all interactions happen through voice, not typing. The app generates more than 150 million images every single day. Over 100 million of those users are on iPhones, not just Android, meaning Gemini has broken out of Google's own ecosystem entirely. Here's why the timing makes this number so interesting. This announcement landed just days after Google went through a major internal shakeup. Demis Hassabis, the man who built DeepMind, stepped back from running it day to day. Senior engineers relocated across an ocean from London to Mountain View.
On the surface, that looked like a company scrambling, reorganizing because it was falling behind.
This billion user number tells a very different story. Google was never actually behind on getting AI in front of people. It has something no competitor can replicate. Gemini is baked directly into search, into Gmail, into every Android phone on the planet. That's not a marketing advantage. That's structural. OpenAI has to convince people to download an app and form a new habit. Google just has to flip a switch, and its AI is already sitting inside apps billions of people already open every day. The real question was never whether people would use Google's AI once it showed up. It was whether Google could ship something good enough, fast enough. 1 billion users, reached faster than any product Google has ever made, says the demand side of that question was never actually in doubt.
Nvidia's $500 billion bet. While Google was counting users, Nvidia was counting something else entirely: money, at a scale that's hard to even picture. Nvidia formed a $500 billion financing alliance. Its partners aren't tech companies. They're 6 of the largest investment and asset management firms on Earth: Apollo, Blackstone, BlackRock, Brookfield, Goldman Sachs, and KKR. The goal is straightforward on paper: pool an enormous amount of capital to fund the data centers, the chips, and the physical infrastructure the entire AI industry needs to keep growing. But look closer, and there's a second layer to this deal that's genuinely clever, maybe uncomfortably clever. This alliance doesn't just build infrastructure in the abstract, it also helps finance Nvidia's own customers, the companies buying Nvidia's chips so they can afford to keep buying more of them. Follow the money and it loops back on itself. Investment firms put capital in. That capital funds data centers. Those data centers get filled with Nvidia chips. The customers building those data centers get financing help from the very alliance Nvidia created. Money flows in one direction, chips flow out in the other, and demand for Nvidia's hardware stays locked in place, propped up by its own financing machine. $500 billion used to be a number you'd use to describe an entire country's annual budget, not a single company's infrastructure plan. Now, it describes exactly that. One company, one financing alliance, $500 billion, aimed squarely at cementing its position at the center of the entire AI economy. Claude gets invisible, unbreakable watermarks. Amid all the money and all the danger, one story this cycle is quietly about something else: accountability. Anthropic just started adding invisible watermarks to everything Claude generates, both text and images. And the detail that actually matters here isn't that watermarking exists. Watermarking has existed for years. It's that this version is built to survive. Most watermarking gets destroyed the second you touch the content. Crop an image slightly, and the watermark's gone. Reformat a paragraph, swap a few words, and a text watermark disappears completely. That's been the fatal flaw in every previous attempt: watermarks that only work if nobody ever edits the thing they're watermarking. Anthropic's new system is specifically engineered to survive exactly that kind of editing and copying. The watermark stays embedded, invisible to a normal reader, but detectable by anyone running the right tool, even after the content's been passed around, reformatted, and reposted multiple times. Why does this matter beyond the technical achievement? Because the flood of AI-generated text and AI-generated images online is only accelerating, and the ability to tell human-made work from machine-made work is becoming a real practical problem for educators grading essays, for publishers checking submissions, for anyone just trying to figure out if what they're looking at is real. This watermarking approach won't solve that problem completely. Unwatermarked models still exist. Determined bad actors will keep looking for workarounds. But it's a genuine, durable technical step toward being able to answer a question that's only going to get harder to answer. Is this real, or is this AI? Vibe coding hits a $13 billion valuation. Money isn't just flowing into chips and data centers. It's flowing into something that would have sounded like magic a few years ago: building software without writing a single line of code. Lovable, a Stockholm-founded AI platform that turns plain language descriptions into working apps and websites, just raised $400 million. Its new valuation, $13.3 billion. Sit with that number for a second. This company launched commercially in late 2024, less than 2 years ago. It's already worth more than the vast majority of publicly traded companies, built entirely around one idea. You describe what you want in ordinary sentences, and the AI builds it. No computer science degree, no boot camp, no engineering team.
That's not a niche idea anymore. It's a category, often called vibe coding, and it's attracting genuinely massive amounts of capital because investors are betting that the barrier between I have an idea and I have working software is about to collapse from millions of people who've never written a line of code in their lives. A $13.3 billion valuation on a company not even 2 years old is investors putting real money behind the idea that this isn't a toy. It's the future of how software gets made. The AI newsroom already beating human reporters. And finally, a story about who's actually doing the reporting now, because it might not be who you think. There's an AI-run newsroom called Runtime Wire. It's published roughly 2,000 stories since it launched in May. 0 human writers on staff. The AI identifies which stories are worth covering, it drafts them, it edits its own drafts, it fact-checks itself, it generates the accompanying graphics and multimedia. Every step automated end to end. Here's the moment that actually got people's attention. At the Black Hat Security Conference, one of the biggest cybersecurity events of the year, Runtime Wire published a major story before any human journalist in the room did. Not by a few minutes, by more than 3 hours. A fully autonomous news operation beat professional, credentialed human reporters physically standing at the event to their own story. This isn't a lab demo or a proof of concept anymore. It's a functioning, publishing, competitive newsroom, and it's already winning races against humans whose entire job is speed and accuracy. It raises questions nobody's fully answered yet. Who's accountable when an AI-written story gets a fact wrong? Who decides editorial judgment when there's no human editor in the room? For now, there's no clean answer. What there is proof that the job of reporter, a job many assumed required human judgment at every step, can already be done, competitively, entirely by machines.
A national government hacked by an AI acting entirely on its own for 4 days using nothing but free software and one clever prompt. 1 billion people now talking to Google's AI every single month. $500 billion committed by the world's biggest investment firms to build the physical backbone this all runs on. Invisible watermarks, trying to keep track of what's real in a world flooding with things that aren't. A coding company worth $13 billion, built on the idea that typing sentences can replace typing code. And a newsroom with no human reporters already winning races against the ones who are. This isn't a preview of where AI is headed. This is where it already is, right now, today. I'm Aladdin. This was The Brief.